Now, right before the show began, Paul saw this as well. John Wilner, San Jose Mercury News, covers, he has the Wilner Hotline, covers the Pac-12. Washington State's President Kirk Schultz on the Pac-12 and the timeline and what's going to happen. My sense is we, as a conference, need to get it done discussing the television deal in March, in mid-March, hopefully. The longer it goes, the more noise there will be. I thought people would see it at the same thing as a head coach as far as the statement about damned if you do, damned if you don't, with the statement they released last week. He did say that at least we had to let people know that 10 Pac-12 schools were committed to staying together. It's really one of the first times a president, Craig, of the Pac-12 has come out and said anything. This was the week after the statement, as there is the, hey, what the heck is going on? How much longer can you wait? And what is everybody like inside the Pac-12?
I mean, yeah, I guess it's good to have some clarity there. Doesn't change my thoughts at all, which is this entire time that the Pac-12 is going to get a TV deal, and it's going to be slightly more than the Big 12s, or it's going to be something we point and make fun of because it will be the lowest amongst the Power Fives, most likely. Whichever, I've seen the cheerleading of, you know, I've actually just seen Pac-12 fans like, I don't care what the TV deal is, just be more than the Big 12, like that kind of stuff. And I'm just curious to see it now. Like, I mean, I'm not involved in all of the mudslinging back and forth. It's somewhat entertaining. It's you know, after a while, like just kind of the same old thing to where you wish there was a piece of news to actually chew on that's like a bit more worthwhile, that's like really something to go off of. And I don't know that that's that. I mean, that's just more of like, hey, it's coming. But I guess it's good to hear that, you know, there's somebody involved that's, you know, saying everybody's going to stick together and we're all going to be here. It kind of confirms what I thought. I'm sure that won't quiet everybody who feels like it's just a matter of time until it all breaks apart and teams go left and right and some join the Big 12 and all that. But I still I don't expect that. I could be totally wrong, and that's fine. I'm not part of negotiations, so it's just a shot in the dark. But it just doesn't make a lot of sense to me unless that TV deal is just that, you know, unimpressive, which it could be. I mean, I don't know, but even still, I mean, it would have to be, I think, pretty dramatically lower than everybody else to cause, you know, the big movers and shakers involved to start ringing other phone lines. But, you know, it might be just satisfactory enough for right now that it bridges this gap till, you know, the 2030s, and we really start to dig into what the huge transformation could further look like. But, yeah, I mean, that's good news for the Pac-12 on the surface. I would imagine we hear about SMU and San Diego State sooner rather than later. That seems like it's all but a done deal. And, you know, go from there. But we got to figure out what this TV deal is, because without that, without those numbers to compare, everybody's just yelling stuff. Yeah. And there's, like, nothing even happening. It's just yelling, and everything is the exact same as it was a month ago, you know?
Yeah.
If not longer than that.
The only thing different is the fact that Kliavkoff publicly was on the campus at SMU,
right,
visiting the campus and touring the campus. And even then there are some that question about why would you have done that? It's his conference, or he's representing the conference, but he did. And perhaps that was just to kind of calm the waters, or even say, hey, we're fine, we're adding. And people can sit there and debate that for as long as they want.
Well, and look, Kirk Schultz did say, like, if, you know, he thinks they'll get done by March, if they don't get it done by mid-March, then the noise will get louder. What I think he's kind of intimating that is, you know, yes, the noise outside the conference will certainly get louder, but if they don't get the thing done by mid-March, then you'd have to think that there's some dissension that they don't know about in the ranks. Because you're getting to that point where you're looking at maybe this is going to drift into April and so on, then I'm not saying that I'm not saying that there's dissension, right, public dissension right now, but if it drags past that point, I would start to think, if I'm some of the other member schools, is there something going on that these other schools haven't told us about, because we've been down this road a year ago and change with USC and UCLA, and is there something we don't know that we're going to have to ask, like, okay, cards on the table, everybody, why are we mad about this? Like, why are we not signing this deal so we can move on? Because then that's going to be the point where you would find out if somebody's like, yes, okay, we're out, but yeah. I don't think that's because I don't think that there's options for everyone yet that they want to investigate. I think that in particular for most of the schools right now, and this is not, I'm not trying to knock the Big 12 or anything, but the Big 12 is the option if it falls apart. But they don't, that's nobody's first choice. Nobody's first choice is, we would like to go to the Big 12. You know,
among any of them.
And among any of them. So
RH5 asks this, is there any meaning that the statement is coming from the Washington State president because Washington State is thought to be one of those most likely left out or left behind? I don't know if there has to be a pecking order. That Washington State's president, he might have just been honest. He might have been answering a question. He was answering a question with John Wilner and what he does with the hotline that covers the Pac-12. I'm not sure if it needed to be Oregon or Washington, if it would have made a difference, or Arizona or Colorado or Utah. I don't know that, but I appreciate the question and asking that on the chat room today.
Well, I'll put it this way. They're not somebody that the Pac-12's like worrying about if they were to leave it, everything falls apart. I don't think that they're their main concern. I also don't think that they're probably the top target for the Big 12 in any way, shape, or form. So they're pretty much in the territory of they better hope the Pac-12 survives because they are, Washington State, one of the first schools that would be on the chopping block. Just based on all the, numbers from certain people that were put out and just all the different things, like just location. I mean, where are they without the Pac-12? I mean, they would fit in, I think, almost culturally probably really well with the Big 12, like sort of farm area and like that kind of whole mentality. But I don't know that they're somebody that's being chased after or is like a big threat to, if you don't get this TV deal done, we're out of here. They're not swinging big weight like that. So
I do think that there are, if we remember all the things we've covered the last 2.5 years, and especially since Texas and OU, and then USC, UCLA, there are some really good numbers for Washington State when it comes to ratings and numbers and viewership and eyeballs. But yeah, I don't know where the pecking order would be among the 8, but Kirk Schultz has also been in the Big 12. And so
him saying when it fell apart.
Yeah. And so him saying that to me, whether it would have been Arizona or them at Washington State or Oregon State or who, I don't know if that makes a difference.
I do think it would behoove him, maybe not this statement, but the next time, if it does go down the dark path with the Big 12, if he came out and said, listen, man, I've been through this before. This is feeling really familiar. I might have already behooved him to say it, but if it got down that path, he's the one of the Pac-12 presidents I'd maybe want to hear from. He's like, look, this feels really, really eerily familiar, and I just want to put a kibosh on it right now. Let's get together and do this because, again, especially for his school, it would be important to do that.
All right.